The world had changed. Cities were quiet. Skies were clear. The noise of war had stopped, at least for a while. After years of fighting, Earth had finally found peace. Countries had come together. People had started rebuilding their homes, their families, and their lives. Even the stars above seemed calm, like they were watching gently from far away. On the roof of a small house in Arizona, a boy named Liam sat with his eyes fixed on the night sky. He was only 10 years old, full of questions and dreams. His father used to tell him stories about space, about stars, planets, and aliens. But Liam had never seen anything beyond Earth. Not yet. Tonight was different. The air felt colder, still, as if the world was holding its breath. Liam held a small flashlight in his hand. He pointed it toward the sky and laughed. "Maybe someone out there will see me," he whispered. He didn't know. Someone already had. Far above Earth, something massive moved in the dark. First, it was just one shadow, then two, then hundreds. Giant black ships, silent and slow, came from the deep corners of the galaxy. They didn't blink. They didn't stop. They simply glided forward, cold, heartless, and full of purpose. At 9:46 p.m., the moon disappeared. Liam frowned. "That's weird," he said softly. "Where did the moon go?" He rubbed his eyes, thinking maybe it was just a cloud. But then he saw the lights, small red dots, blinking in a perfect pattern across the sky. Not stars. Not planes. Something else. He ran inside. "Mom, Dad, look outside." His parents, tired after a long day, came out quickly. They looked up, and they froze. His mother's voice shook. Is that real?" His father, a former soldier, stepped forward. His face went pale. "That's a fleet," he whispered. "And not one of ours." The TV turned on by itself. Emergency broadcast. A calm, robotic voice filled the house. "Citizens of Earth, this is the Galactic Council. You are not authorized to expand beyond your world. Humanity is unstable, dangerous, and a threat to the galaxy's peace. Your species will now be neutralized. Do not resist. This is for the safety of all." The message played on every screen around the world. People screamed. Others prayed. Soldiers reached for weapons they hoped they'd never need again. But it was already too late. In orbit, the alien ships spread like a black net, covering Earth in a silent trap. They weren't here to talk. They weren't here to warn. They were here to erase. Back in Arizona, Liam held his mother's hand tightly. "Why do they want to hurt us?" he asked. His father looked at the sky with eyes full of fire. "Because they're afraid," he said. "Afraid of what we are. Afraid of what we might become." A single ship descended from the sky, bigger than any building, casting a long shadow over the desert. Its surface was smooth, silver, without windows or markings. No sound, no lights, just fear. All around the world, similar ships began to land. In cities, mountains, oceans, like claws digging into Earth's skin. The invasion had begun. But deep underground, in places long forgotten, others were watching too. In a hidden base buried beneath the ice of Antarctica, red warning lights started to flash. Old machines hummed to life. Computers from another age began to glow. A voice echoed through the cold steel halls. "Code Black. Planetary threat detected. Awakening Protocol G." A man in a dark uniform stood before a sealed metal door. His face was weathered. His eyes, tired but strong. He placed his hand on the scanner. "Authorization. General Elias Grant. Activate all systems." Behind the door, something massive began to move. Gears turned. Steam hissed. Metal creaked. Earth's war engines, built in secret, hidden for decades, were waking up. Back on the rooftop, Liam still stared at the sky. The fear in his heart was heavy. But somewhere inside, he felt something else too. Hope. The sky was still dark, not because it was night, but because the alien ships were everywhere, like a giant hand covering the planet. The stars were gone. The moon was gone. Only the cold shadows remained. World leaders tried to speak. They sent peaceful messages in many languages. But the Galactic Council never answered. At a United Nations base in Geneva, scientists and military officers gathered around a large screen. Live footage showed cities around the world being surrounded by alien forces. No attacks yet, just waiting, watching. General Elias Grant appeared on the screen. His face was calm, but everyone could see the worry in his eyes. We have confirmed this is not a drill. The Galactic Council has declared Earth a threat. They plan to neutralize our entire species. Their words are clear. A woman in the back shouted, but they were our allies. They helped us rebuild after the last war. General Grant looked at her. No, they helped us rebuild just enough. Enough to watch us, to keep us weak. And now, they've decided we've grown too strong. The room fell silent. Everyone now realized the same truth. This was never about peace. This was about fear. The Galactic Council feared what humanity could do, what it might become. They had seen Earth's wars, its anger, its courage. They saw humans build rockets, weapons, and machines far faster than any other race in the galaxy. And worst of all, humans didn't give up. They survived everything. They adapted. They fought back. So now, the Council had come to stop them, forever. In space, alien ships started sending beams of light toward Earth's surface. They weren't explosions, not yet. They were scans, mapping every city, every power plant, every human defense. They were preparing for a clean, perfect destruction. In New York, crowds filled the streets. People looked up at the strange lights in the sky, holding their families close. Some cried, some prayed, some stared with anger. A small girl asked her father, "Why don't they like us?" The father hugged her. "Because they don't understand us," he said. And what people don't understand, they fear. Meanwhile, in orbit above Earth, inside the lead council ship, alien leaders watched Earth's final hours like a movie. One alien, tall with blue skin and silver eyes, spoke without emotion. Humans have advanced too quickly. Their minds are chaotic, their will too strong. If left alone, they will not only reach the stars, they will conquer them. Another alien nodded. We must act now. No hesitation. But in a dark corner of the ship, a younger alien officer looked down at a screen. A photo of a human child. Liam, standing on his rooftop, flashlight in hand. He whispered to himself, "Is this really the only way?" Back on Earth, General Grant stood in the command center of the secret base in Antarctica. Behind him, giant machines were rising from the ice. Huge legs, metal arms, glowing blue eyes. Earth's forgotten titans. Machines built not to conquer, but to protect. They thought we were sleeping, Grant said. They thought we were weak, but they were wrong. A soldier beside him asked, "Sir, do we fight?" Grant turned to him. "No, we survive. We hold the line. We remind them why humanity should never be underestimated." Underground bunkers began to open. Rocket platforms rose from the ground. Drones took flight. The planet, once peaceful, was waking up like a giant shaking off dust. And in that moment, something changed. The council ships paused. Their scans stopped. And then the first beam fired. It hit a small mountain town in Asia, gone in seconds. No warning, no mercy. The war had begun. But Earth did not cry. It answered. The mountain town was gone. No survivors, no buildings, just fire and dust. It was a message from the Galactic Council. Submit or be erased. But they had made a mistake. They thought Earth had no weapons left. They believed humanity had become soft after years of peace. What they didn't know was that Earth had secrets, dangerous ones. Deep below Antarctica's frozen ground, those secrets were waking up. Inside the hidden base, known only as Outpost Echo, engineers and soldiers ran through cold steel halls. Red lights flashed. Sirens rang. Giant machines stood like sleeping giants in dark chambers. Old, powerful, and built for only one reason: war. General Elias Grant stood before a glass window, watching as the last safety locks opened. Behind the glass, a massive humanoid machine slowly rose to life. 40 feet tall, plated with black armor, glowing with blue energy deep in its chest. It looked almost like a man, but made of metal and rage. The engineers called it Goliath 1. Grant's voice echoed through the command room. They thought we forgot who we were, but humans don't forget. We remember, we learn, and we build. A young officer asked, "How long until Goliath 1 is ready?" The tech team responded, 90 seconds, sir." Outside, alien ships continued scanning Earth's surface. They had already destroyed 3 small towns. No resistance. No weapons fired back. The aliens believed Earth was finished. But then something happened. Far in the Pacific Ocean, a quiet island began to shake. Waves grew large as the ground cracked open. From beneath the sand and stone, a dark shape rose from the sea. Metal, shining, massive. Titan 7. It wasn't just a weapon. It was a fortress on legs, built in secret during Earth's last war, hidden so well even most governments didn't know it existed. Titan 7 locked onto the nearest alien cruiser and fired its first shot. A beam of raw plasma flew upward like a shooting star and slammed into the alien ship. The explosion turned the sky orange. Earth had just fired back. In space, inside the Council flagship, alarms went off. Alien commanders turned toward the screens. 1 ship destroyed. 2 more damaged. The young alien officer from earlier whispered, "They're not supposed to fight like this." But they did. They always did. Back at Outpost Echo, Goliath 1 was now fully active. Its eyes glowed. Its arms moved. Its deep voice rumbled through the hall. "System online. Target Earth defense. Standing by for command." General Grant stepped forward. "Goliath, this is Earth. They came to erase us. Show them what happens when you threaten humanity." Goliath stepped out of the launch chamber. The walls shook. The floor cracked. Above the ice, giant doors opened. Snow blasted into the air as the machine climbed into the storm, 1 heavy foot at a time. Soldiers watched in silence, full of fear and pride. "Sir," a voice said over the radio, "more war engines are coming online. Units from Alaska, Siberia, and the Andes Mountains are reporting in. It's not just Goliath." "Good," said Grant. "The Council came to kill 1 planet. Let's show them they picked the wrong one." In New York, Liam and his family were now hiding underground in a shelter with hundreds of others. The news played quietly on a radio. People held each other, waiting. Then they heard it. "This is Earth Defense Command. We have engaged the enemy. Repeat, Earth is not surrendering. Stay strong." For the first time in hours, people smiled. Back in orbit, Council ships began to fire more weapons. Beams of light, explosive darts, burning rays. Cities were hit. Towers fell. But Earth was hitting back. War machines launched from underground bunkers. Eye-controlled drones swarmed the sky. Hidden satellites powered on, sending data and weapons across the globe. Fighter pilots returned to the skies. Older now, but still ready. In the chaos, humans remembered what made them different. They didn't give up. They didn't kneel. They fought. The sky burned. Flames lit the horizon. Smoke covered cities. Buildings fell. People ran through the streets, searching for shelter, for safety, for hope. But something had changed. Earth was no longer silent. Now it was fighting back. In space above Earth, alien cruisers moved in perfect formations. Cold, fast, deadly. Their weapons were precise. Their orders were clear: wipe out the human threat. But then, their perfect plan cracked. From Earth's surface, plasma cannons fired from hidden bunkers. Giant machines rose from under cities and deserts. Drones launched in swarms, too many to count. Every strike from the aliens was now answered by an even louder reply from Earth. The Council ships, so confident before, began to break formation. One by one, human war engines struck. In the snowy wastelands of Siberia, Grizzly II, a mech as tall as a skyscraper, charged through the forest, its heavy legs shaking the ground. Its massive arms tore through trees and stone like paper. Above it, 2 alien fighters circled. They fired red plasma beams down at the mech's back. But Grizzly II was ready. The machine turned, aimed its shoulder cannons, and fired. Both ships exploded mid-air, raining metal and ash across the frozen sky. Inside the cockpit, Commander Reyes smiled. Let's give them something to fear. In the skies over New York, the battle was brutal. Alien ships flew low, trying to target shelters and hospitals. But Earth's fighter jets, sleek, fast, and built with alien tech, intercepted them. Captain Sarah Monroe led the charge. Her voice came over the radio. Calm, focused. Squadron 1, follow my lead. Keep them away from civilians. Copy that, Captain. Her jet weaved between skyscrapers. 2 alien fighters chased her. She dove straight toward the Hudson River, then pulled up at the last second. The aliens followed, too fast. They crashed into the water. The crowd watching from a rooftop cheered. Sarah flew back into the sky. Still got it, she whispered. In space, a new warship appeared. It wasn't alien. It was human. The UES Hammerfall, Earth's first deep space war cruiser. Built in secret, powered by stolen alien cores. Its commander, Admiral Price, looked at the alien fleet in front of him. They came to end us, he said. Let's return the favor. The Hammerfall's weapons lit up. Massive plasma torpedoes launched from its sides. Energy beams shot forward, tearing through the nearest alien cruiser. Explosion after explosion lit up the darkness. On the alien flagship, the Council panicked. How did they build a ship like that? It's impossible. They didn't have the tech. But they did. Because every time humans were knocked down, they got back up, stronger. Back on Earth, General Grant stood on a platform, watching Goliath 1 move across the battlefield. Alien walkers, large, insect-shaped machines, were advancing through a ruined city. People were still trapped inside. Goliath, target those walkers. Protect the civilians. Goliath's voice came through, deep and full of purpose. Affirmative. Targeting. Engaging. The mech leaped into the air, impossible for something so large, and landed with a massive crash. Streets split. Cars flew. Dust rose. Then it fought. With giant metal fists, Goliath tore into the alien machines. One by one, they fell. Sparks flew. Glass shattered. People watched from broken windows. Children cheered. A woman covered in blood whispered, "That thing just saved us." In the middle of all this chaos, one voice played on radios across the world. It was a message from Earth Defense Command. This is not the end. This is our beginning. We are not slaves. We are not weak. We are human. And we will not be erased. The first strike was complete. Across the world, Earth had answered with fire, steel, and courage. Cities were still burning, and many had died. But now, every human knew the truth. They had a chance. In the Council war room, the alien leaders were silent. One spoke, slowly. "We expected fear. We got fury." Another added, "Perhaps we made a mistake." But it was too late now. Humanity was awake. and the war had only just begun. The war was far from over. Earth's response to the invasion had been powerful, unexpected. But the battle was only beginning. The alien forces, now in full retreat, were reassembling. The destruction had been massive, but so had humanity's resilience. Now, the real fight began. In the heart of the United States, in a small town that had been hit hardest by the alien strike, survivors began to rebuild. Amidst the ruins, a group of civilians stood, looking at the sky. The air was thick with smoke, the horizon broken with the light of ongoing battles. But there was something in their eyes, something stronger than fear. It was hope. Liam, the young boy who had watched the invasion begin from his rooftop, was now helping the elderly woman across the street. Her house had been destroyed, and she had no family to help her. But Liam wasn't alone. His parents, though exhausted and injured, were working side by side with others. Everyone was pulling together. Liam's mother, Sarah, looked at him with a weary smile. "You know, we've been through so much already, but look at us. We're still here, still standing." Liam, his face covered in dirt, but full of determination, nodded. "We'll rebuild it all. We're humans. We never stop." Meanwhile, on the front lines, soldiers were doing the same. Captain Monroe, who had led the fighter jets above New York, was now on the ground. She walked among the survivors, giving orders, organizing groups, and checking on wounded soldiers. Her face was bruised. Her uniform was torn, but her eyes were still full of fire. One soldier asked, "Captain, how are we going to hold them off? They'd got more ships, more weapons. How can we possibly win?" Monroe looked at the soldier, then turned to the sky where alien ships were regrouping. She knew the odds. She knew the fear. But there was something inside her, something she had always known, that gave her strength. "We have something they don't," she said quietly. "We have each other. We have heart." In Antarctica, General Grant stood beside Goliath 1. The machine was preparing for another battle. The massive mech's chest glowed with blue energy as the tech team loaded new weapons into its systems. Grant's face was covered in dirt, his uniform torn and stained with blood. But his eyes were sharp. One of the soldiers asked, "Sir, how long can we keep this up? How long before we run out of resources, out of time?" Grant paused, looking out over the vast, empty snow. Behind him, the engines of Earth's war machines rumbled like sleeping giants, ready to fight. "We'll never run out of time," Grant said, "because as long as we're alive, we will never stop. We fight, not because we want to, but because we have to. And we'll never stop fighting for our home, for our people." Back in New York, the city's streets were alive with sounds of rebuilding. People worked together, clearing rubble, moving debris, helping the injured. Earth wasn't just fighting, it was healing. Sarah Monroe, having completed her mission, returned to the shelter where her family waited. Her young daughter ran to her, arms wide open. "Mom, you're back," her daughter said, hugging her tightly. Sarah smiled through the exhaustion, crouching down to her daughter's level. "I'm always coming back. No matter what happens, I'll always come back to you." A voice came over the loudspeaker. "Attention! Earth Defense Command has made contact with the Galactic Council. They are preparing to negotiate terms for peace." The room grew silent. Sarah, looking at her daughter, understood. Earth might still have a chance to end this war, but whether it came through negotiations or further battle, she knew the strength of humanity lay not in treaties or weapons, but in the heart of every person who fought for their world. Meanwhile, in orbit, the alien fleet was preparing for one last strike, but they had not accounted for Earth's unity, the strength, the courage, and the heart of a species that refused to be broken. Admiral Price, aboard the UES Hammerfall, looked out at the massive fleet of ships in space. "They think they can break us. They think they can end us." He turned to his crew, who had worked non-stop to keep the ship running through the war. They were tired, worn out, But they were ready. "We will never give up," he said. "Not until the last ship is gone. Not until Earth is free." He glanced at the large screen in front of him. "Prepare the fleet. We have one chance to make this count." Back on Earth, people gathered in the streets, in shelters, and in homes. They were no longer afraid of the aliens. They were no longer afraid of the darkness above. Together, they had stood their ground. Liam, still helping others, looked up to the sky once again. This time, it wasn't with fear, but with strength. He whispered to himself, "We'll win. We'll fight with everything we have. We're human, and we will never stop." The war raged on, but Earth had found its heart, and that made all the difference. The enemy had underestimated humanity. They didn't know what it meant to fight with heart, and that was something the aliens would soon learn. The skies above Earth were filled with fire and fury. The Galactic Council's invasion fleet had regrouped. The alien ships, more powerful than ever, now surrounded Earth's atmosphere, ready to unleash their final strike. But the humans weren't backing down. They had no choice but to fight, not just for survival, but for everything they loved. In the heart of the underground command center, General Elias Grant stood tall. The walls around him were shaking, the loud hum of machinery vibrating through the air. But his face was calm, his voice steady. "This is it. We have one chance." He turned to his team of officers, all of them bloodied, exhausted, but still standing. "We've built this fight to win, not to survive. I want every unit in position. Give them everything we have." Behind him, a holographic map showed alien ships moving toward Earth's key cities. But now, humanity was ready. The war engines, Goliaths, Grizzlies, Titans, were fully powered, their systems prepared for one last assault. General Grant's gaze hardened. "This is our last stand. Make it count." In space, Admiral Price stood at the command of the UES Hammerfall, now leading the charge with a fleet of Earth's most advanced ships. They had come together, all the nations, all the people, and built a force that could stand against the invaders. "All ships, prepare for final engagement," Admiral Price's voice echoed over the comms. His hands gripped the console as he stared at the alien armada. "We're outnumbered, we're outgunned, but we're humans, and we fight with everything we have." With one final order, the fleet of Earth's warships surged forward, weapons primed. The first volley of missiles and plasma bolts shot out, streaking across the void like streaks of fire. The battle began in earnest. Back on Earth, the final push was underway. In the icy fields of Alaska, Titan VII stomped toward an alien command center, its massive legs crushed through the ground. The alien mechs that stood in its way were no match for its strength. With one massive swing, Titan VII's fist tore through an alien walker, sending it crashing into the ground. Inside the cockpit, Commander Rice was gritting his teeth, his eyes locked on the battlefield. "Let's show them what Earth is made of." Every movement was deliberate, every shot aimed at taking down the alien threat. For the first time since the invasion, humanity was hitting back with everything it had. In the skies above New York, Captain Sarah Monroe flew her fighter jet through a storm of enemy fire. Alien ships surrounded her, but she wasn't afraid. Her hands were steady on the controls. "We've trained for this. Let's finish it." Her squadron followed her lead, weaving between the alien ships, firing at their weak spots. The explosions lit up the night sky, their colors bright against the darkness of space. It wasn't just military skill that made them dangerous. It was human ingenuity, the ability to think on the fly, to adapt, to never give up. On the ground in the wreckage of a destroyed city, people were fighting too. Liam and his mother, Sarah, had joined a group of survivors, forming a resistance cell. They carried supplies to the wounded, helped evacuate the last civilians from the dangerous zones, and kept morale high. Liam's eyes were wide, filled with hope. He watched the war machines advance, protecting their city, holding the line. "We're not giving up," he whispered to his mother. We'll win. His mother smiled, ruffling his hair. Yes, we will. No matter what. The alien forces were beginning to feel the pressure. The warships in space were taking heavy damage, their shields weakening. The ground forces on Earth were slowly pushing them back. The tide of battle was shifting. But the Council's leader, a tall alien known as Supreme Commander Zorth, watched it all from his flagship. His eyes narrowed. We cannot lose, Zorth hissed. We have to crush them now. Now, the aliens launched their final assault. A massive energy beam, aimed directly at Earth's largest city, Paris, was fired from the heart of their fleet. On the ground, General Grant watched the incoming beam on his monitors. The destruction would be devastating. Move the defense units into position. We cannot let this happen. The beam shot toward the city, but just as it reached the atmosphere, Goliath 1 leaped into the air, powered by its final reserves of energy. It slammed into the beam, using its arms to block the attack. The ground shook as the beam splintered around Goliath, and the mech fell to one knee. Its systems flickered, barely holding on. Grant's voice crackled over the comms. Come on, Goliath. Hold it together. Goliath's voice, weak but determined, came through. Target locked. Firing. In one final act, Goliath 1 unleashed a devastating energy blast, sending it directly into the heart of the alien fleet. The explosion rocked the sky, tearing apart ships and sending debris flying into space. Admiral Price watched the destruction from the UES Hammerfall. His ship had taken damage, but the enemy was retreating. We did it, he whispered. We held them off. But even as the alien fleet fell back, Earth knew the war was far from over. The battle for survival had only just begun. The aliens would return, stronger than before. But humanity had shown them one thing they couldn't forget. The heart of Earth could never be extinguished. With the final push complete, Earth had bought itself a fragile victory. But at what cost? The war was not over. The aliens would return. And humanity, united by the fire in its heart, would stand ready, ready to fight, ready to survive, ready to never back down.